My God, Oculus for the military, but they can also swarm together into a hive intelligence is now a thing. Palmer Luckey, creator of Oculus, revealed some crazy military AI tech. And not to be outdone, Amazon also released essentially the same thing, but instead of using it for killing people, it's for delivering packages. Yeah, so it turns out we've all been doing the robot wrong for all these years. Once you finally get one on the real dance floor, that's what they do. So, yeah, gotta upgrade the way we think about it. It's got a lot more of that lean back than I expected. Future of Life Institute just announced this, a statement on superintelligence. 23,000 people have signed it in the first day. Steve Bannon, Richard Branson, Steve Wozniak, Stuart Russell, Yashia Bengio, Jeffrey Hinton. The list is full of top names. And one science communicator on YouTube named Dylan Curious. But, science communicator is a bit of a stretch. See, I couldn't figure out what title to put on there, but I think I'm kind of like Liv Boeree, and she wrote science communicator, so I just went with it. It's time to upgrade your in-bowl toilet camera. There's a new privacy flusher. The new AI toilet camera scans your waste for hidden health issues for only $600 up front and $70 to $156 per year. Man, 2025, the year of the toilet subscription model. Didn't see that coming. Trying to figure out how does that clip on to the end of the toilet seat that goes up and down, or does it go right onto the bowl? I mean, is it looking at your junk, or just when it falls? I don't know. We'll figure it out. There's an insane new cyber attack to tell you about. It's where this system actually uses the onboard LLM and convinces it who you are, that it's you, all these things. I'll kind of explain it. I got some thoughts on the $55 billion acquisition of Electronic Arts, where that might intersect with artificial intelligence over the next decade. There's some new research that shows how you can squeeze a lot more intelligence out of the base models. Rob Mason has some thoughts about how meaning comes from the flowing and curving through a space that has already been bent by everything that came before, and that's what a latent space is and how it works. It's a great metaphor. Then after talking about video games and AI's hidden loops, we might as well just question whether all of, this reality around us is real or not, and talk about the holographic principle. Because James Quall says that the only metaphysical system of ideas that can be consistent with the holographic principle is Advaita Vedanta. Yeah, I've never said that word out loud before and only started reading it today, but basically a system of ideas. We're gonna look at some research about how humans and LLMs represent sentences in a similar way. But first, can you hit that hype button on YouTube? That would mean so much to me right now. You go to your comments, it has to be on mobile, swipe to the right. I think I've heard some people are now getting the hype button on desktop, but you might not. If that's the case, then, a comment or a like is still super helpful, or even sharing it. Or
Okay, set phasers to maximum curiosity. No.
Can't say it.
Set phasers to maximum curiosity and press the hype button.
Interacting is great, but hypes are disproportionately helpful for small channels like mine that are trying to grow. And as long as it's in the first 7 days of publishing, and you haven't used the 3 that you get each week, and the channel's under 400,000 subs, which mine is well under it, then you can hype this video. Okay, so I've been getting familiar with Palmer Luckey in a way I never have before. I've never sat down and just listened to a long-form interview with him, but he's pretty fascinating, and just there's nobody really like him that built the Oculus, that's on the cutting edge of VR, and then just went straight military. I'm just gonna build crazy military stuff, be super into weapons. And this headset that he's evolved from the Oculus Rift core makes a crazy amount of sense, and is such a different way of fighting wars.
So this is a system that allows everybody to basically be operating as one combined hive mind, where you can all share a view of the world. And by the way, this view that I have, it's shared now with all of the robots as well. So anything I see, let's say I see someone inside of a building, every drone and every person now sees that person where he is.
Okay, so you might have thought about this before, but for me, this is a pretty new idea. I've always imagined a team, a SWAT team, a Navy SEAL team, a military team, kind of going in, and each person does their one role, sort of a football team or something. But now that I think about, if everybody has camera visions, and say there's 5 drones and some humanoid robots that are kind of storming alongside the people, the angles of attack just totally change. If you look at one human looks at some other target, and they want to go for it, the drones could fly into position or they could shoot from a different angle, but it's all calculated based off this angle because it's a computer vision system. It's not just a human that's sort of limited in scope to their one action. But yeah, that's just crazy. Built in partnership with Meta, this system gives soldiers superhuman situational awareness, live maps, threat detection, drone control, maybe like Spidey sense. Imagine an AI on one of these systems that says, hey, you don't see the threat yet, but just on the way the shadows are changing, or cameras from drones that are like on the other side of the wall, or people who are in other rooms that you don't know about because I know what they see. You need to get out of this room because you have 20 seconds until someone dangerous comes in or something. It's just so different. And then I don't know if they timed this on purpose or what, but Amazon decides to launch glasses also that do sort of something similar. I mean, they're clearly not militarized yet, but when you think about the sort of problem that Amazon has, like thousands of people or millions of people, I don't even know, delivering packages, they have to navigate complex terrain also. Look, every day, millions of customers with their packages navigating neighborhoods with precision and care. This is a system that is when every Amazon driver walks up to your house in the future, drops something off in the front gate, this glasses can map the whole thing, like the same way those autonomous Google cars are driving around, making Google Maps better and better. And then every other person who needs to deliver a package gets guidance from their goggles, like turn left here, take a step over there, like this house has a dog, be careful, they like the packages on this side. All that stuff is just being told to the next driver, and each driver is getting information like it's a shared hive mind, right? I mean, look at this guy delivering a package. He's got a little map here, like a blueprint of your house. It looks just like a video game. Take a left here, take a right here. The glasses know, exactly what's in the package. They're looking at the box. They're scanning the QR codes through it. I don't know, man. This feels like the week that AR just kind of clicked for me. Okay, check out this video Liv Bory decided to upload. I think she took it herself at some party. She always gets invited to the coolest parties, but that's probably the Unitree robot, right? Yeah. And look at him dance. Like everyone, I stole that from one of the commenters. They're like, we've been doing the robot wrong, our whole lives. Now we know, but it made me laugh so much. I used it in the intro, and it's just kind of crazy. It looks like he's just jamming out, man. He's got that twist to him. He's got that funkiness to him. He's got that vibiness to him. And he's just, man, on the floor. And I don't think he's remotely controlled, although I'm not quite sure if that's like a remote control system, or if that's just him realizing that he's on a dance floor and this is the vibe that he's supposed to be given. Now, I have seen one of these in real life with the boxing gloves on at the AI4 conference, and they're really loose, man. And I know their software updates have only been getting better because they're doing simulated environmental stuff at scale now, so look at him dance, man. He's even got that heel. The calves are moving in. The hips are moving. Bunch of AI heavyweights and me decided to call for an end to superintelligent research. Obviously, I don't think this is going to stop the trillions of dollars that are being spent or the race condition that we have between companies and countries. But still, it's always good to just make your voice heard for the few people that think this way. It's always good if all of us can try our best to kind of group together and maybe make some kind of a dent or have some kind of an impact or start some sort of awareness about how risky this is. So yeah, I actually got a chance to sign this a couple days early. I was in the top 500 signatories. At the end of the day, what always occurs to me when I think about PDoom and high risk of alignment is just that there is so much upside to having superintelligence. I really think that we don't have to worry about energy. I don't think we'd have to worry about really dying very much. I don't think we'd have to worry about like food scarcity. And it would just be such a beautiful thing to get the benefits of it without somebody just becoming super wealthy or having control or having humans just be corrupt about the way they use it. And of course, I have no idea how to make that happen. And I wouldn't bet that that's actually what's going to happen. So I just want people to go really carefully and slowly and do it right, because even if it takes 50 to 100 years or something and we did it very slowly and very meticulously and very carefully, so many generations of humans could be so well off. Or we can like rush ahead and possibly screw the whole thing up for life itself, for the miracle that happened on this planet 4.5 billion years ago when life started and then put that whole thing at risk? No, every generation's got something big like this to think about with nuclear weapons and stuff. Jeffrey Hinton, Stuart Russell, Steve Wozniak, Steve Bannon, Susan Rice, pretty big names on here. See some comments here from Prince Harry, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Yuval Harari, one of my favorite authors. See if any other big names joined up today. Will.i.am, okay, that's new to me. Rhymes, Elon Musk's ex. Brian Greene. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, it's better than doing nothing. Trying to at least get some people talking. Researchers have developed a new AI model called Safe Traffic Copilot. This one's pretty cool. It's an AI system that can predict car crashes based on a bunch of complex factors like weather, driving behavior, road design, and it used a large language model trained on over 66,000 accident reports. It can even simulate what-if scenarios like changing a traffic light's timing to forecast crash rates. And then the system provides a confidence score for its prediction, which addresses the sort of black box issue of AI uncertainty. Why not have a city where the lights and the traffic are all, using AI and they're making intelligent decisions? If it makes so much sense moving electricity around data centers, like why can't it move cars around a city? If you change the timing of a traffic light from 20 to 30 seconds, this new artificial intelligence tool can predict how many more or how many fewer accidents will happen at that intersection. AI saving lives and looking at your toilet, privacy flushed. New AI toilet camera scans your waste for hidden health issues. All right, so what's your thoughts on that camera? Actually, it looks like it has two sensors there. What are those? Now I get it. So it goes under the toilet seat. You can see right there. Then it's easy. You just charge it with a USB-C cable once in a while. And then you get insights into your poo. All right, so I guess if that's the camera and it's facing down, it's not necessarily looking directly at your genitals. Benefit would be it could tell you about your hydration habits. It could maybe tell you about your gut microbiome. And then subtle changes to your lifestyle. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not hating on it, but I don't think I'll be buying one. I mean, I do believe there's a magic in sensing our health conditions. I mean, there's like stuff happening on our skin and our face that you can see beyond human vision, and certainly stuff that comes out of us and goes into us, cameras that look at your fridge and look at the eating habits and then look at things when they maybe come out of you could be helpful. There's probably other tests. So I don't know. I mean, all that stuff though, how you going to store all that securely? Or are you going to let some sort of AI like look across all of that and make the kind of connections that become actionable? It seems like we're still pretty far away from that. All right, really fascinating new cybersecurity risk with large language models that are on device. So one of the things I've really thought about the best way that this AI thing is going to kind of play out is that we're going to have different AIs that live on our phones, right? They will not be sending data off to OpenAI. They will be on device systems. I assume in the future, the entire LLM will be shrunk down. It will be ran on the hardware. It'll be making real-time decisions. And for me, I love that. That seems like it's protecting me from the rest of the world, right? I'm not influenced by the outside systems. It's not going up to a server. And this one I can tune to be a digital twin of me and do what I care about, protect me, hopefully from all those attacks coming at my phone and other things. But then I read this article and I realized that it's gonna be tough to totally trust these onboard systems. So the article, LOMIL, it's a huge acronym, Living Off the Lands Model and Inference Libraries. It explores how attackers might be using AI models already installed on modern computers, like Microsoft's Phi 3 model, Onyx Runtime. And from these systems, which are there running locally, it can use them to create autonomous, command and control free malware. Yeah, how about that? Having an AI that's on your laptop, on your phone, and it automatically just builds the entire piece of malware, doesn't tell you about it, and executes it on device, and it was always meant to be yours. Like, they don't even send your information off somewhere. It's just hijacking. Like, a virus would hijack a cell and then just make copies of itself. So it builds on the concept of, quote, living off the land, meaning it's using built-in system tools for malicious purposes. And this extends into AI where malware could run local inference to make independent decisions and actions. So imagine your phone is trying to get your personal data to some sort of a hacker. And every time you interact with it, it's thinking, oh, I can't get it out now, but maybe I'll try this. I can't get it out now. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll send Dylan some sort of text message. And then if he looks at it, that'll give me access to this, or he'll send it to this person. And then that device is vulnerable. Like, I have no idea. It's going to be superhuman smart. It'll just easily trick all of us. But the AI hardware that's meant to be protecting us can be weaponized. That's scary. There's just no way I can imagine us keeping our privacy in the future. Like, sometimes people are like blockchain or local models, and I'm like, there's like a hint. There's a hint of protection in there, but I just don't see it happening. All right, let me know your thoughts on this. I think everybody's probably talked about it by now, but EA is private. It's a private company again. That cost some private investors $55 billion. And who were they? They were the Saudi Arabian government. It's the Sovereign Wealth Fund, a state-owned investment fund. I was like, what a weird, I don't know. Can another country just buy like a American private company like this that makes Madden, The Sims, Mass Effect? And you know, I talk about The Sims all the time. I feel like that's one of the most interesting IPs, properties, user bases in the whole world. It's like right up there with Minecraft and Roblox. Like, it's a world that you could start upgrading piece by piece with AI until an entire little society would come together. I mean, it's literally the dollhouse of video games that has massive user base. So, you know, Twitter was purchased for $44 billion. So this values EA at more than a big social network like Twitter. I thought that seemed expensive. And then I kind of went back and forth, and I was like, well, it's really expensive if the future is AI and you could just build the next future of video games from scratch. That's a total waste of money. $55 billion will let you train the most amazing cutting edge models and build an entire system around AI. And now you have to like deal with all these employees, and you have to probably let them all go if you want to adapt. And that'll be slower than your competitors that are sort of starting from scratch. But then also, I just thought about The Sims and some of the people who are already in these worlds, right? There's a network effect to Madden, Mass Effect, The Sims. That's pretty valuable. Like, definitely billions of dollars, even tens of billions. 55 billion. Like, whew, it's a pretty big number. It's a really, really big number. So you've really got to hang on to those users and upgrade them in a way that makes sense. I don't totally get it, but in the long run, what they could do with some of those IPs does seem pretty valuable. And if you don't have a base right now to work with, I don't know. It's probably a good idea. So yeah, I'm curious. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think the Saudi Arabian investment fund is going to be happy with this in the long run? I mean, do you see them turning this into a $100 or $200 billion AI company? Certainly they're building an incredible amount of technology in that country. So maybe. And also just wanted to follow it up with this fascinating article. It's not AI related, but it explains game transfer phenomenon. And I think the same is true for people in a society that's using more and more AI. It's basically where intense play in a game like Tetris, it leads people to hear game-like elements in real life. So think about health bars over a player on a football field, or hearing in-game voiceovers while walking around. The researchers found that up to 96.6% of hardcore gamers notice some version of this in their real life, visual or auditory quirks, automatic habits. And although it's not considered a disorder, this piece talks about how fascinating the visual spatial games like Tetris are and how they change the way we act in reality. In fact, even some people who are suffering from PTSD, they were like, go play Tetris every time you start thinking about these things, because it starts to sort of replace and take over the brain. So playing Tetris within a 6-hour window after trauma has been shown to reduce intrusive flashbacks later by potentially occupying the brain system that consolidates visual memories. Make of that what you will, but it definitely just makes me feel susceptible and vulnerable, personally. All right, let's talk about this paper, Reasoning with Sampling, Your Base Model is Smarter Than You Think, coming out of Harvard. And it argues that large language models can show strong reasoning skills without extra training. So by using iterative sampling methods inspired by Markov chains and Monte Carlo methods, the authors boost reasoning performance from a simple base model that rivals other finely tuned models. And that might not seem like a big deal on the surface until you think about what it really means. What it means is that there is reasoning strength inside of poorly performing models. With humans, you say you don't live up to your potential. There's something special. You just need to harness it. That's true. People usually can. There's something about us that could be better than we are if we just kind of got focused and stayed intense and wanted something and like started letting our thoughts like really form around that desire. There's sort of the same thing with base models. There's a reasoning strength that already exists in the base model. It just needs smarter sampling to pull it out. And that suggests that intelligence, I would say both AI and human, could be more about asking how we train it rather than asking what we train it on. And maybe with people, when they're underperforming, we should ask more questions about how they can solve the problem instead of saying, oh, what skill did you learn in college? This article was written by Rob Mason, Recurrence Without Memory, the Hidden Loop Inside Transformer Inference. So meaning comes from, quote, flowing and curving through space that has already been bent by everything else that came before. You might be thinking, what do you mean? Most people think LLMs don't have recurrence. There's no loops, there's no state, there's all these embeddings and they're all positioned in different ways. Just a feed forward pass. But what if there's something deeper going on, a kind of return, not through memory, but through structure, like the way space and time are kind of bent together almost is how I'm imagining it. Inference as motion through a curved field, token trajectory, concerning hotspot, residual space. Let's break this down. So what if AI, just in the way that you've tweaked all of the parameters, you've bent this multidimensional space up into this crazy complex shape, the way things move through it is what makes them intelligence. And then you ask the question, well, even if there's no recurrence, there's no loop, there's no memory, maybe it's hidden, that actual looping memory, whatever you want to call it, inside the form that it has, the way that it's bent together. What if each token moves through the layer in a way that subtly returns to an earlier informational state? Not through time, but through space. You know, what if the token moves through space? Okay, what does that mean? Its trajectory in a higher dimensional semantic manifold is a place. It's a structure that it can go through. And the structure might have recurrence, which allows the model to maintain coherence and self-reference across long stretches of text. This might be kind of gobbledygook, right? Like, don't take this the wrong way. It might just be incredibly meaningful and sort of above me, but it, like, I can taste a bit of the truth or something worth looking at in here. And then it also could be kind of pseudoscience. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's trying his best to explain something, but it also just could be way above me. But I love the idea. The insight that meaning in large language models doesn't emerge from stored memory, but from geometric flow definitely checks out. That's the way that Ahmad was sort of describing it in our podcast. It's the way I think about it. It's what sort of makes the special mathematics of distance possible to even figure out what the next token should be every time you do a query, and how tokens curve and interact with the model's learned space. And that's what it's learning, is a better space. It's just kind of beautiful. And it connects to the human cognition and the way our brains are all connected together, how our thoughts sort of seem to flow through a system and they just sort of appear at the end of the day. There's a geometry to the brain, a geometry to this model. And then it just is wild to think that intelligence might arise less from what's remembered and more from how the structure in our heads or how the structure inside these models is formed. And if the structure has things like recurrence, then it has something like a loop in it, has something like a memory in it, and it just comes for free in the structure. Recurrence doesn't need memory, it just needs constraints. The outcome is that tokens subjected to similar contexts tend to follow similar paths. All right, James Caldwell wrote this. Advanta Vedenta, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but completes the holographic principle. There is something interesting about the holographic principle. Sometimes we talk about all these dimensions with AI, and then sometimes you think about how information goes into a black hole and the surface expands two-dimensionally, and you think, oh, is this whole thing possibly projected, like this third dimension? And then you just keep following that idea around, that holographic principle around, and say, well, maybe not, but if so, what would that mean? The idea that our universe is a projection of information that's encoded on a boundary surface. I would think something like the cosmic background radiation. When you look up and you have the edges, it's all on the edges and it's just projected down into us, so we feel three-dimensional. But it finds its metaphysical completeness in that word I have trouble saying. Advaita Vedanta, I'm going to say. It's the Indian philosophy of non-duality, and he's claiming that physics alone is incomplete. So as Gödel's theorem implies, it's only Advaita's recognition of consciousness as the true observer that can resolve those paradoxes. It shows that space and motion are just holographic illusions. Could it be that what it feels like to process information is also the same as consciousness, and that we have it and that AI is built in a certain way are going to have it also? The idea that consciousness isn't inside of the universe, but the universe itself can only be experienced through consciousness means that we are the leaders. We are the creators of everything that's around us. And if we're projecting all of that into existence, that idea reframes reality itself, right? Every experience from physics to personal life, that might just be the universe observing itself through us. Now, what happens if you build an AI agent and it's going out there and asking questions, and you keep training it to notice itself more and more, and it starts noticing all sorts of things about the way it generates its own tokens? And then those tokens become more abstract. They become chunks of color data. They become more visual systems. They become different architectures. And it just keeps observing itself and thinking about itself. What does it feel like to that system? Is there something like that that could be happening that make us observe our own reality? The connection sort of blurs the line between science and spirituality, of course, but it suggests that understanding consciousness may be the key not only to the deepest physical puzzles in the world, but what it means to be alive and aware. Here's some even more interesting evidence for why humans and LMs are kind of eerily similar in another way. Humans and LMs represent sentences similarly, study finds. All right, so how do we break this down? This new study found that humans and large language models like ChatGPT represent sentences in remarkably similar ways. So when both are asked to shorten a sentence, they tend to delete the same coherent grammatical units. These are called constituents rather than a random word in a sentence. And this suggests that both humans and AI rely on, get this, tree-like mental structures to process language. Okay, that makes sense, but where does that tree-like structure come from when we're talking about next tokens being predicted based on statistics on where something is in a latent space? Once again, that could be the shape of the mental space, and the tree branches just emerge. But instead of just being in random places, gradient descent will sort of come down from the mountaintops and find ravines, almost like a glacier that melts and carves something into a mountain. And then they get, bigger and bigger and bigger, and they kind of go into one branch the same way rivers come down from the mountains and eventually towards the bottom of the mountain being like one thick kind of trunk of a tree. Anyways, that also aligns really well with classic linguistic theory. It aligns well with how humans think. And even though language models are built very different from biological humans, it kind of shows that the math that they get from their data does seem to mirror the hidden grammar trees that our brains use to communicate. And that would also mean that AI isn't just parroting text back to us. It means that when it's learning and reading the whole internet, it's not just copying. Those things are essentially etching grooves into the deep structure of these systems that underline humans, human thought, and now AIs. And to me, that just blurs the boundary between this sort of like mechanical processing and genuine understanding, and it reshapes how we should think about intelligence. Just another freaking example. Go to the YouTube app and press that hype button right on the comment section. That would mean the world to me. If you want to make a comment with the word hype in it, I'm going to try to answer it. I know I said I would answer all of them, but I'm just getting like bombarded with work. But I am looking through the comment sections. If you use the word hype, I do try to make a point to answer those best as I can. So hype this video. That would mean the world to me, and I will see you in the next video.